Ready for a deep dive, everybody. Today, we're cracking open the letter of James. And before you think, oh, this isn't for me, trust me, this isn't just for the religious folks. This is a guidebook for anyone who, wants to navigate life with a little more wisdom.
It's funny you should say that because James himself, he had this very down-to-earth, practical approach. And, this was someone who walked with Jesus, literally.
Right. The brother of Jesus.
Exactly. A leader in the early church, no less. And his letter, it was addressed to Jewish Christians scattered all over the place, facing real-world problems.
And he doesn't sugarcoat anything. Temptation, the stuff we say, really living out what we believe, it's all in there. But here's what gets me. He doesn't just point out the problems. He offers solutions.
He really does. It's about holding on to your faith when the world around you makes it tough. Like, how do you actually live this stuff out?
Okay, so speaking of living it out, one thing that jumped out at me was James's emphasis on action, especially when it comes to faith. It's like he's saying, don't just tell me you believe it, show me.
Oh, absolutely. And chapter 2, my friend, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
James draws a line in the sand, basically saying, faith without works is meaningless.
It's that whole walk the walk thing.
Yeah.
But he lays it out so clearly.
He doesn't mess around.
And the example he uses someone claiming they've got faith, but then totally ignoring a person in need. Like, oh, stay warm, have plenty to eat, but not actually, lifting a finger to help.
Oh.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
And so relevant even today, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Someone who's all about saving the environment online, but in their own life, they never recycle. Or someone always talking about social justice, but doesn't even engage in their own community. It's all talk.
All talk, no action. It's so easy to get caught up in appearances, isn't it? But James forces us to ask ourselves, are we just talking the talk? Or are we backing it up?
Exactly. Are you living it? And it's interesting because he doesn't just leave us hanging with that challenge. He gives us this incredibly powerful example of faith in action.
Abraham, right?
Yes, Abraham being willing to sacrifice Isaac. Now, this wasn't just blind obedience. It was about this radical trust in God, the kind of trust that makes us act even when things are hard, really hard.
That's a powerful story, I have to say. It really makes you think about what it means to have real faith. But, it's not just about actions with James, is it? He's also really concerned with what we say, our words.
Absolutely. He does not hold back when it comes to the power of the tongue. He dedicates a whole chapter to it.
Right. And the imagery he uses.
It's wild.
It's like we've all had those moments where we wish we could take back something we said.
Oh, yeah. Foot and mouth moments. We've all been there.
But James takes it to a whole other level.
He does. A bit in a horse's mouth. The rudder of a ship. A tiny spark that starts a forest fire. He uses these everyday things to show just how much impact our words can have.
And he's not just talking about, like, the big pronouncements. It's also that inner voice, right? The things we tell ourselves.
Absolutely. It's about humility. Are we coming from a place of pride or humility? And that makes a difference in everything.
And that's where chapters 4 and 5 really hit home for me. It's like James is saying, hey, our time here is precious. Don't waste it.
He contrasts the fleeting nature of life with, the eternal perspective of God.
He uses that image of life being like a puff of smoke. Yeah. It's there 1 minute, gone the next.
James 4.14, powerful imagery.
It really is. And especially when we're feeling anxious, uncertain, how can that perspective, that image, help us?
It's like an antidote to all the pressure we feel today. We're constantly told to achieve, to acquire, but our lives are just a breath.
So don't sweat the small stuff.
Exactly. Focus on what really matters. Find peace, find purpose, not just in the day-to-day anxieties.
It's about holding our plans.
Yeah.
Loosely, right? We're not really in control.
Man proposes, God disposes.
Right. We can make our plans, but life happens, and that's okay.
Exactly. And when things get uncertain, that's when you lean in to prayer, to your community.
Support each other.
Yes. Even in suffering, you can grow.
Find strength in being vulnerable to God and to each other.
And honest.
Oh, yeah. That part where James is like, just let your yes be yes and your no be no. It's refreshing, actually.
It is. In a world where everyone's hiding behind fancy words, just be straight up.
No more dodging the question. Like when you're stuck on hold with customer service and just want a straight answer. But it goes deeper than that, doesn't it? He also talks about honesty and how we treat people, especially the vulnerable.
He's really tough on the wealthy, especially those who exploit their workers.
Chapter 5.
True wealth, he says, it's not about money or possessions. It's about righteousness, compassion.
Man, that's so relevant today. We get so caught up in climbing the ladder, getting ahead.
It's easy to forget what truly matters.
But James reminds us, it's about using what we have to help others, to make the world a better place.
And it doesn't have to be these huge gestures, it's the small choices.
How you treat the people around you.
Do you support fair wages, ethical businesses? It all adds up.
Yeah, and those small choices, they can make a world of difference, can't they?
Absolutely. And it makes me think about one of the most hopeful verses in this whole letter. He who turns a sinner from the error of their way will save them from death and cover over a multitude of sins.
Oh, wow. James 5:20. That's powerful stuff.
It really is. And it's not just about, religion. It's about extending grace, forgiveness, offering a helping hand to someone who's lost their way.
We've all been there.
We have. We all make mistakes. We mess up. But there's always a chance to start over for ourselves and for others.
To offer that same understanding we've been given, it's a beautiful idea.
It really is. To break free from all that negativity, all that judgment, to just see the best in each other,
Even when it's hard.
especially when it's hard.
Well, this has been incredible. Thank you. It's amazing how relevant this letter still is, even after all these centuries.
It is, isn't it? Timeless wisdom.
It really is. So as we wrap up our deep dive into James, I'm left thinking about something. Whose life could you impact by extending that grace, that forgiveness, offering a helping hand, something to think about? Until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.